everyone, and welcome to The Great Couch, where we will discuss all things ABA, entrepreneurship, and lifestyle. We have a very special series that will be dedicated to parents as well as parents of children with special needs. Today, I am excited to have Hellen join us on The Great Couch to discuss goal execution and health and wellness. Thank you so much for joining us today, Hellen. Can you please tell us about yourself?
Okay, thanks so much for having me. As Nandi mentioned, my name is Hellen Adedipe. I am a board certified behavior analyst and I live in Texas. I own pediatric therapy centers for children with autism spectrum disorders, behavior disorders, and communication disorders. So we service children. We do early intervention, so 12 months to 6 years old. We offer ABA therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy. So that's kind of me in a nutshell professionally, but I'm also a sister, a friend. I love doing other things in addition to ABA. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. So I know that you mentioned in your practice that you primarily service children and you all utilize ABA as well as, doing speech therapy and OT. So I can imagine that all of the children that you service have goals, and you probably have set goals yourself with being a private practice owner. So can you tell me, what would you say is a goal? Like, what would be your definition?
So I think my definition of a goal, and I know like this can vary depending on the person, but for me, it's more of like, what do I want to accomplish? Like, what do I want to accomplish, well, broadly in life? But then of course you got to like break down those goals. You can't just be like, oh, I want, and then some big goal, because then that makes it hard to achieve. So for me, I say a goal is an accomplishment, something that I'm looking forward to, something that I want for myself or my life. And of course, our kids have goals, and that's one of the things that we always talk to our parents about at intake. What are some goals that you have for your child and your family unit, and where do you see yourself X years from now? Things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. And how do you identify a goal or come up with a goal? So I know probably when you're working with families, you probably partner with them in terms of how to come up with a goal, but what does that process look like for the families that you're working with when coming up with goals, as well as personally? How do you identify personal goals or come up with those goals, aside from just a general accomplishment? Is it something that you see and like, oh, I want to do that, or something that sparks in your mind that gets the juices flowing?
Okay, so on the family side, we work collaboratively with the parents. I think that that's just so important because every family unit is different. And so we want to make sure that the goals that we're setting for them, we're helping them set. I think that's the first thing. We are helping them set goals, we don't determine what goals they want, because like I said, everyone's different. So, just looking at their family unit and just ask them, okay, your kiddo is 2. What would you like for him at 3 or at 5 or at 7, whatever age, you know what I mean? So we work, as a unit with them to help them come up with their goals. But then on a personal level, I think for myself, I've just always been really goal driven. It helps me see like light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I feel like if you're just kind of out there and so broad and like don't have like any set goals, it's difficult to like stay motivated. So for myself, personally, professionally, honestly, it's kind of like, what do I want my life to look like, and some of those things, they're not like professionally related. It's things like, I want to be able to one day travel to France, you know what I mean? Like things like that. So then I think about like, okay, how am I going to get there? What is it going to take to be able to do X, Y, Z? Or I want, back when I was younger, I want to buy a house, or I want to, like those kinds of things. But then it's, how am I going to get there? So for me, I think about what I want out of life and like what I want my life to look like, and then create achievable steps to get there. Now that's going to be different for every single person, right? And not, some goals are, I would call like smaller goals to like help you get to the next goal. But then you have like, lifetime goals. So like, I know some people, they're like, I want to retire at 55, or I want to, do this by this age, whatever that motivation is to get there.
Okay, awesome. So when you're making those smaller goals, or even potentially that larger goal, what are you using some type of formula, or I know earlier you mentioned ensuring that maybe something is attainable, or I'm even thinking of myself. There may be times where I have a goal in mind, but I, want to design a certain life, or, have certain things, but I really don't think through all the time what are the steps that it will take for me to get there. So can you walk me through maybe like your process, even if it's like a personal experience? I know you mentioned like wanting to buy a house, or maybe like wanting to go on a vacation, or I know that you're very into like health and wellness and all of that. So like even like the goal of like either getting healthy or losing weight or whatever the case may be, what is your process in terms of like, okay, I know I want to do this, so this is how I lay it out in order for me to get there?
Okay, so for me, I would say the first thing that I do, like with bigger like things like when I was wanting to buy a house a long time ago, or even when I have like various business goals, the first thing I do, I am a Christian, is I pray about it, because I want to make sure that like my own wants and needs align with what God has for my life, because I know that if it doesn't, it's just going to be a constant struggle. So for me, I pray about it. And then I'm old school and I write stuff down.
Okay.
I know like the younger generation, they use their phones and tablets. No. Like I write stuff down, and also I just have like one or two big goals at a time. Like I want to feel like I'm accomplishing my goals. So I'm not gonna, for me, I'm not gonna give myself like 10 things that I really want to do. So I write it down and then I pray about it. But then, praying without working, like the Bible says, is dead. Like you have to work towards your goal.
Right.
So then it's about creating like those smaller steps to get there. So, I mean, let's say I write down that I remember when I had one location and I was wanting to open a second location.
Okay.
I remember literally writing down like second location, and then I put like a date. Now I will say I give myself grace in that if it doesn't happen, like if I put June and it happens in July, then okay. But I'm also like, I'm not gonna put 2020 and then it's gonna happen 2022 or 2030.
Yeah.
Like we need, I want to create things that I can be successful at. So I pray about it, I write it down, and then I do the work to get there. And I think consistency, and I know I talk a lot about that with my friends and other associates with health and wellness. It's not what you do, it's what you do consistently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like if you have like a fitness goal and you're only working out once a week, you're probably not going to get there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's about what you do consistently. So I consistently work towards those goals. And consistency can look different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Depending on your goal and what you have going on. So as I said, I pray about it, I write it down, and then I work towards those goals that I have for myself. And two, I want to say, and I know you didn't ask this, but like I'm big on, you can't share everything with everybody.
Yeah.
Because some people will derail you or make you feel like, oh, that's too big, or that's not achievable. Like what God has for you is yours. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I think that there should be some discernment about like who you share things with. Sometimes you just gotta lay low, keep your head down, focus on your focus, and just show up every day to what God has called you to do, and it'll happen, if that makes sense.
It does. And thank you for that. That is wonderful, wonderful advice. So as it relates to your overall experience with working with families, right? And helping them to also execute their goals. Do you use similar methods in terms of, okay, we have this goal for yourself, or we have this goal for your child, and how do we get from point A to, maybe that small goal, and then, the next small goal up into that larger goal? Do you use the same method in terms of like maybe having them, really think, is this something you want to do, and write it down, or things like that?
Yes, exactly. So we do. I mean, like I say a lot that ABA is more of a lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, it's it's something that you learn, and these are principles that you can apply all throughout your world, you know. And so with families that I work with, you know, yeah, it's about that, like building rapport, getting to know them, and then, okay, so what are some of your goals? So we talk through those goals, make sure that they're achievable goals too. So like within the next 6 months, like where would you like for your child, your family? And yes, we work with the child, but we have to remember that children come with family members, you know? And so I always say, like, my job is to help make your life easier, you know? And if by me helping you help your child learn how to feed themselves or tie their shoe or talk, you know, or receptively respond, those kinds of things can make your life easier.
Yeah.
And let's go for it, you know? And so those are the goals that we work towards. And we write them down and then we revisit them, and we're working on steps to get us there. And, you know, sometimes, I mean, life doesn't always go how you plan, right? I mean, I think 2020 is teaching all of us that. You have to be flexible too, and know that, like, it's okay if you get derailed a little bit, but just get back on. If that goal is still important to you, keep focusing on it, keep working towards it. And so with our families, we really make sure that we have attainable goals, and it's like shaping, you know, like small successive approximations to that terminal goal. That's what we work on with them, and we check in frequently and make sure, like, okay, are you still feeling like this is an appropriate goal? Because sometimes, you know, it's like, no, we can work towards this, or maybe that. But we're still working towards progress.
Awesome. So I know you mentioned, you know, becoming derailed, or, you know, maybe not being as excited and motivated about a goal as you once had been, whether it be personally or, you know, professionally or with parents. So when you yourself, or maybe the parents that you may be working with, are feeling that they're unsure if a goal is still appropriate, or they're trying and progressing or hoping to progress towards the goal, but nothing is picking up. In those situations, what would you suggest that someone should do?
So I think you need to remember your why. And I know people say that all the time. I find with myself, like for health and wellness, you know what I mean? Like, I have to remind myself, like, why is this important to me? Why am I wanting to do this? So with families, like, why did you pick this goal as a goal? You know what I mean? Remember that reason. And even though getting to that goal can be tough, because it's not, I think sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to set a goal and I'm just going to work and then it's going to happen. And, you know, no, that's, if that were the case, we would all, you know, be where we wanted to be, you know? It can be tough, but you have to remember your why, and you have to stay focused on it, and then not let the enemy try to, like, destroy that plan for you. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have to change up the way you're going towards that goal, but the goal can still be the same. And just remembering that just because you make changes along the way doesn't mean that your terminal goal is changing.
Yeah, I think, and that's a great point. I think personally, sometimes I may set out big goals, and then it feels daunting. And then I at times forget my why, because either I've been derailed, or I got distracted, or I have something else that I thought about in the midst of, you know, trying to go for that goal. And I think that just overall today, you really spoke to some great points in terms of, like, making sure things are attainable. If you do get derailed, how do you get back on track? Remembering your why overall. And then I think also what you spoke to at points in time is, like, having that accountability person as well. Some things, yes, it's good to keep in secret, or, you know, wait until it's appropriate time to tell people so that you don't get derailed or discouraged. But also it may be good to have someone like yourself, you know, if a parent is working with a therapist or something like that, to help you to identify, is this still something that you want to do? Or, you know, how are we progressing, and how am I keeping myself accountable and remembering my why in that moment as well?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's so important. And I think too, just remembering that, you know, a lot of things are a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
You know, like, you got to press toward that goal. I mean, and it's hard and it's tough, and it can be so discouraging. You're like, gosh, I've been working at this for however long, you know, or my child's been working on this skill for however long. But it's like, you know, but once they get it, then you'll look back and be like, okay, I
Yeah.
get it now, you
Yeah.
know? Mhm.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And just last question for you. In terms of, I know you've already spoke about this, but you talked a little bit about your health and your wellness. How do you incorporate that overall into your daily life?
Okay, so I, what's funny about like health and wellness is I have always been active. Like I grew up cheering, I cheered in college. And so I've always been super active and, we had 4-hour practices and, stuff like that. So the physical part of it has always kind of been there for me. And I'm one of
Okay.
those weird people that like, if I don't move my body, I
Mhm.
feel stiff, right?
Oh,
Like that's, I don't know, it's weird. But the mental side.
mm,
I found for so many years, especially when I first started my business, that I was so good at taking care of everyone else and
mm,
everyone else's needs. And to the point like I would exhaust myself. Then one day I looked up and I looked around, I'm like, no, this
yeah.
doesn't work for me. Like no one else is gonna take care of me
Hmm.
but me. Like no one else can, you know? And so I had to learn to pair that like active body with things like saying no,
Hmm.
and that's hard, but saying no and knowing that it's not selfish to say no,
Right.
that you have to look out for your own well-being, your own mental health. Because as a business owner, you know, I mean, sometimes I'm like the plumber, and then I go
Hmm.
from the plumber to the counselor to
Hmm.
the principal to the BCBA to,
Yeah.
like you wear so many different hats
Hmm.
and it can be so exhausting. And I told myself one day, I was like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep living like this.
Right.
I love the field. I love what I'm doing. I love being that person that can help so many people and it's creating an environment for others to do
Right.
that. But at what point is it costing me my own mental health?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I got to do something different.
Mhm.
So I do prioritize that now. Now, granted, I've been open for 12 years, so it's taken
Mhm.
me a long time to get here, but I'm happy I'm here, So
Right.
I
Absolutely.
do prioritize myself, and it's certain things like um, I don't check my emails in the morning when
Mhm.
I first get up. I have my quiet time. I do my devotional. I pray. I don't check my phone. I
Mhm.
take care of me
Yeah.
before I take care of other things. Because if you don't, then you'll find yourself the entire day has gone by and you're looking around like, okay, now I got to try to do something for myself. Oh, wait, no, I'm tired. I'm going to sleep. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
That's wonderful. And I think you designed the life you want, right? You spoke about that earlier, and
yep.
you found that, and when you were new or probably in the midst of your business, that you weren't really caring for yourself. So in that moment, that was your why. I want to be healthy. I want to get back to the things that I used to do.
Yep.
And making sure that you set that goal out, and now look at you. You had the life that you designed as it relates to health and wellness. So that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And you can be more productive and you're better for others. I
Mhm.
think that's one thing. And for the mamas and dads out there, like when you take care of yourself first, you're better for your child. You're better for your family. And it may not seem like it, and you might feel like, oh, it's selfish, but 30 minutes to an hour a day, that's not too much to ask in
Mhm.
24 hours. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important that you take some time. So whether it's you read a book or go for a walk, whatever it is for
Mhm.
you that you want to do or that you need for yourself, you should definitely take that time and you deserve that time.
Yeah.
And the truth is nobody else is going to do it for you. So you
Right.
got to do it for yourself.
Yes, and you know what? I think that that is a great point for us to leave off, because I am so for, caring for yourself before you're able to, pour in and care for others. And before we go, are you able to just tell us how, people can reach you?
Sure. Yeah. On social media, you can come follow me. My handle is at Pink Scrubs in a Prayer. I'm normally in Pink Scrubs, so you don't know it's me. It's at Pink Scrubs in a Prayer. Or you can also send me an email, and it's HADEDIPE at thereasonforhope.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, and hopefully we'll be able to see you soon.